Ron, thanks for taking time to meet with me and kind of go through some of these top questions that families have been asking about camp at Shepherd's Fold Ranch. Real brief before we get started, could you just introduce yourself and share a little bit how long you've been connected with Shepherd's Fold Ranch?
Sure thing. Yeah. My name is Ron Griffin. I am the executive director out here at Shepherd's Fold, which means I'm over the entire ministry as we do our summer camps and our retreats and all the other great stuff that we do out here. I've currently been the executive director for 10 years. Before that, I was actually a camper here as a kid, and I was on staff for a while as a wrangler. And then my final summer was in 1992, where I was a work crew boss the entire summer. And I went off to the Army after that and returned in 2011 to be here. So I've been part of Shepherd's Fold most of my life, and it's just a great place to be a part of.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you so much. For everybody watching, I mean, I've known Ron a long time, and I've been connected to Shepherd's Fold a long time. So I love the place. I know a little bit about it, and really, we just want to go through, honestly, the top 5 questions that it seems to be new families are asking about camp. And in an effort to help answer those and give them an opportunity to see a little bit about what camp is, we're just going to roll through these. So if you're ready, man, the first question that gets asked a whole lot is, what does a typical day look like at camp at Shepherd's Fold?
Great question. So typical day of camp, we actually are going to run 2 different camps at the same time, one for younger kids, one for older kids. So they get up a little bit different. This summer, they are all going to be what we call cohorted, which means they'll all be in different groups, never intersecting. That's how we do our kind of COVID camp-centric process this summer. But in that, they usually get up around between 7 or 8, depending on the camp. And we like to get the blood flowing at the very beginning. So we'll do some sort of energizer is what we call it, get the kids up and moving, having some fun right then. They'll do their breakfast. We actually do cabin cleanup daily and teach kids how to clean up, because no mom and dad here. It's all up to you. And we really make that fun where it's a competition, and they really get into it. And throughout the week, it becomes more fun and more fun as they're trying to beat the other cabins. That's a lot of fun. That's what we do. Our morning encounter is what we call it. And we call it an encounter because it's more than just sitting there being taught any subject. It's a 2-way street. We want them to encounter the Lord while they're worshiping and while they're listening. And we don't want it to just be listening. We want them to also talk and figure things out of what God has to speak to them. And so in the morning, it's usually like a personal prayer time. We focus on like nature, scripture. What does God say through nature? What does God say through his word? What does God say through silence? All these different ways that you can encounter God. So that's usually in the morning. Then we do camp activities. So this could be anything from archery, it could be crafts, it could be boats in the pond, fishing. What's that?
I said, classic camp activities.
Yeah, classic. Yeah. We like to think of kind of old school. We like to get kids totally unplugged. There is no screens that they will be watching out here besides worship slides. That's all we got.
No Fortnite.
No Fortnite, no sort of, I would like to make a cool video game reference here, but I just don't have that. So they'll do that for a bunch. We do Pond Olympics. So then we'll go to lunch. After lunch, we'll let them quiet down a little bit, 30 minutes, go out flat on back time. Then we'll go out and we'll do some more fun all afternoon long, swimming, more boating, a lot of games, ball court games, just fun stuff. Yeah. Then we'll do dinner. We'll do a night encounter, which is the same thing. It's more of a teaching where we have a week-long teaching that will be going on this summer. It's time to shine. So we're going to talk about how Jesus is the light and how you can be the light, especially after this whole thing that's been going on. Man, people need it right now. They need to see people that love the Lord and how that translates out into the world everywhere you go. So that's what we're going to be teaching this summer. Then after that, we'll do some cabin talks, kind of bring it all together, ask questions, and then we'll do some night games and night activities. After that, going to bed. So that's
Awesome.
pretty much.
Yeah, man. I think you illustrated about every hour of a schedule right there, man. That's awesome. Sounds really exciting.
I mean,
think a big what?
I'm sorry. Yeah, new parents that have never been here. The more details we can give, the more it's like, okay, that sounds like that's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the kids will be going outside, and they have a blast. By the time they're picked up, give them 30 minutes, probably more like 10. They're asleep in the car.
Yeah.
So.
That what feels like a long drive back from Tulsa, but really is like 40 minutes, But that's what I always remember hearing from kids. It's like, man, I just thought this place was so far away, and it's 45 minutes from Tulsa, so it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, my kids go to school in Tulsa, so we drive it, 4 times a day. You just get used to it because it's a beautiful drive.
Golly, yeah. Well, I know a kind of a tandem question with that. New parents might want to know, they're very curious about safety. And, we all know that summer camp by its design is to be an adventure. So how does Shepherd's Fold approach running a summer camp program with safety in mind?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. I like to start out by saying, I live here on property with my wife and 4 kids, and my kids go to camp with your kids because they're there every week. And so just with that parental mindset, as also being executive director, is I want to make camp as safe as possible, but with that element of adventure still in there.
Sure.
So when we have our summer camp staff, everyone's been background checked, trained on, how to be a counselor, all of our, procedures and safety protocols. We do 2 weeks of staff training, which we go through everything that it entails to run a summer camp. I mean, we do emergency procedures. We do our lifeguarding. We're Red Cross certified. We do youth mental health first aid, which is something that just kind of can help kids that might be having trouble processing some things because of anxiety issues. We really leave no stone unturned when it comes to kids' safety. And that's one of my big things. Having a military background, I like to make sure that everything is laid out very clear and process oriented so everybody knows the job, what they have to do, and when they have to do it.
Yeah. And are there any governing bodies or organizations that provide any type of guidance for summer camps to be safe or to be as safe as possible?
Yeah, that's a good question. We are part of a national sanctioning body, the American Camping Association, and we're actually accredited through them, which is it's like 300 different tasks, everything from safety to record keeping to health, that you have to go through, and it's basically your good housekeeping seal of approval for camps. And I would say to any parent, even if they're not coming to Shepherd's Fold, it's very important to see if they have that national accreditation, because it really shows an attention to detail on how they approach camp. And how, because it's a big deal to get it. We're also part of the Christian Camping Association, Christian Camping Conference Association, 3CA, and that is another national body that we're a part of.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, in my research, it looks like the ACA, there's a lot of boxes that have to be checked for a camp to go through that process. So
it's a great organization. They do a great job leading the way for camps. So
and actually that connects me to thinking through specifically last summer. So last summer was summer 2019, or wait, 2020. We're coming up to 2021, right? It was 2020.
We're all trying to forget 2020. Just get it out.
Yeah, COVID hit, and looking through some of the stuff you guys had put out, and it sounds like last summer there were no major outbreaks of COVID at Shepherd's Fold when you guys decided to run summer camp. So I know as parents coming in thinking, how did they do that? What does that look like for next summer? I think it'd be good for you just to share a little bit about, again, what worked, and then what can they expect for this next summer?
Right. Yeah. So we worked with the ACA that we just mentioned, the American Camping Association, and they came out with a best practices and procedures for how to run a camp during COVID. Being in Oklahoma here, we were able to open up June 1st for our staff training. So we did a half summer last summer. And really what we did was partner with the parents and say, hey, this is what we're doing because we need to keep everybody safe. We mentioned cohorts earlier, which means small groups of camp that don't interact. So if they leave one facility, our cleaning crew comes in, cleans the facility, and then the next one will come. And so in doing that, we were able to not have masks because we felt like it was really important for the camp experience that kids, aren't trying to run around in the Oklahoma heat with a mask on. Yeah. And the American Camping Association did say also, hey, if you're doing cohorting, you don't have to have masks. So it makes it a really kind of best way to do it for us being such a small camp, because we are what is considered a very small camp, and we love being a small camp, and we're a small camp by design from our board of directors. We're not going to get bigger because we want to be a small community that knows, when that car pulls up, it's great to see you again. We know who you are. And a lot of times we get that with a huge camp. You're just another number. So other things with COVID is just, we ask parents, 14 days prior to be monitoring their kids. And then also we've changed our refund policy with, if there's any health issue coming up, even to the day of, we say, you know what, if you're not comfortable because you think there's a health issue, we'll refund all your money. Because we don't want to burden parents with that thought of, man, we put all this money towards camp. They're not feeling good. They woke up with the sniffles. So that way, if it's nothing, we can just schedule them later in the summer and everybody wins. So.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you guys, because I remember reading other camps who had to shut down and again, no critique of how they were doing it, but obviously what you guys did worked really well. And it's cool. It's cool to hear those stories and see how this next summer looks like it's shaping up to be a big one for you guys.
Yeah, we're going to take those lessons learned from last summer, and some of the stuff is going to be a little lighter because we know a lot more now. A year into it, so some of our things that we had to do last summer we won't be doing, but most of them is the cohorting and then the cleaning in between. The units going through, and that allows us to have a pretty next to normal summer, and then with the goal of 2022, which will be our 50th summer here at Shepherd's Fold, that one will be back to normal and it'll be great.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, hey, let's move on to question 3. So question 3 is about the food at Shepherd's Fold. Growing up, I didn't even live in Oklahoma. The camps I went to have bad memories of that food. But I do have heard from a lot of your campers about memorable meals and good food at Shepherd's Fold. So can you share what makes your food good and memorable?
Well, it's the people. No, we have the greatest staff of cooks that work out here, and they love to serve Shepherd's Fold, but also serve the kids. That is what God has given them the gift of hospitality, and they really show that through the food. And so, we like to have, food that you'd get at home. Yeah, that's one of our big things. I know institutional food, it's got a bad rap for a good reason. And what we try to do is get away from a lot of that, just super boxy, comes out, slaps it on the plate type of thing with more of a home cooked meal feel to it. So a lot of our meals are cooked, almost all of them are cooked totally from scratch. Even, Deb does her homemade cinnamon rolls. Tammy makes her special eggs. Judy makes desserts all over the place where I'm like, Judy, they don't need this many desserts. Well, no, maybe somebody wants something a little different. And Deb does the same thing. So they're amazing. They're a great group of women that has just really blessed our camp with the gift of good food. So
yeah, that is a huge blessing. That's awesome. And it makes me hungry. I mean, I was trying to remember some of my favorite meals out at camp when I was out at Shepherd's Fold. And I mean, it is, dude. Those desserts, they're like 5-star,
Yeah.
It's
Well,
awesome.
and it's funny because the kids, we talk about homemade, home cooked meals, but they're like, they make walking tacos. They make all
Yeah.
these other ones that are just like, if we didn't have walking tacos, I think the campers would freak out because they love them so much, and that's just, they
Yeah.
would, and it's just, all it is a bag of chips with, all the taco meat inside of it. And they think it's the best thing ever. So.
Awesome. So let's see. We have covered schedule. We've covered safety and COVID. We talked about food. Up next, I think, is a really important one. Just again, from my perspective and know what I know about Shepherd's Fold, is that your staff are in a program called the Furnace, which again, new parents may have heard that term or wonder, like, what is the Furnace,
Right.
and how does that affect what my kids are doing at summer camp? So, could you share just how those two relate and what makes that, how the Furnace makes Shepherd's Fold special?
Right. Well, if any of these new parents have talked to somebody that has already had their kids go and asked the question, what makes Shepherd's Fold different than all these other camps? Almost every time I hear, it's the staff.
Yeah.
So our staff is a differentiator. And the reason why is because our staff are not only just here for a summer job, they're also enrolled in a leadership development servant leadership course called the Furnace.
Yeah.
And what this is that they have come to Shepherd's Fold not only to be poured into from this Furnace program, but also to pour out into these campers. So they're learning just exactly what Jesus did, to be the hands and feet, and that's called servant leadership. Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. And that's kind of the thing we're asking them to do when they come out here is be that hands and feet for Jesus for the campers. Yeah. And so they get the education of learning how to do that. They get the evaluation piece while they're out there of us mentoring them as they go through it. And what that makes is a really tenderized heart that's a staffer that is actually pretty much like on a missions trip in Avon, Oklahoma. They're here to change the world by teaching Jesus's love to our campers. And it just makes for an amazing staff and just a really, it's transformation. I mean, these kids are coming and getting ministered to at Shepherd's Fold, and it is transforming their lives, not only when they're here, but when they go home.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is a powerful program, and it's not just a summer job. So the mentality of what seems like the staff out at Shepherd's Fold is way different than a college kid just getting a summer job. I mean, they choose to be there, they choose to invest, and it really does. The fruit is evidenced through the campers and the camp experience. So, okay, so question 5, man, is when we start getting questions about money. And so, camp programs are expensive comparatively. Some of them are a lot cheaper. I mean, honestly, Shepherd's Fold looks like a pretty high value buy compared to weeks of other types of programming. But I know new families want to know, is there any financial assistance available? Is there anything that they can do even for this summer, or is it only for next summer? Kind of what's the process, and where are you at with that?
Yeah, so the big thing to remember about Shepherd's Fold is that we're a non-denominational ministry, which we're not linked to any church. We have probably 70 different churches represented for kids to come here. And in that, a lot of, when people think of church camp, they think that, it costs $200. Well, that's only because the church offsets the rest of that money.
Sure.
As far as independent summer camps go, we're one of the less expensive ones around.
Yeah.
And so with that, it's like, I know times are tough, but we do have a scholarship program, and you are still able to sign up this summer. We do have funds available. So if you need to, you can just go onto the website, and there's a tab in there that talks about the scholarship, and it is a formal application that you have to do. But if you need it, we want to get you to summer camp. I don't want any child to not go to summer camp because of funds. And I know that because when I went to Shepherd's Fold, I was a scholarship kid. And so it means a lot for me to get every kid here. So I would say, go ahead and fill out the application if you need to, because the funds are there, and we can do a portion of that that tuition to help your kid get to summer camp. And we would love to do that so they can experience it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I know my parents took advantage of sending my two younger siblings back when they were campers, man. The scholarship fund helped us be able to go. So again, I didn't get to go, but they went, and so it was perfect.
Yeah, we get it, because Shepherd's Fold is not here to make money. We're here to minister to kids. So if we can make a way for them to get here, we will, because it's all about the ministry. You know? Yeah.
And what about, I know you guys have done stuff like this in the past. Do you offer any type of special pricing for first-time families, just as an incentive to say, hey, we want to get you out here? What do you guys do for that?
Yeah, we do for first timers. They get $100 off their tuition for their first year. So that's a little to come and check out Shepherd's Fold, because we know what's going to happen when you get here. You're going to absolutely love it. Yeah. And it's worth every penny, because it is a great time for the kids, and what a spiritual booster shot they can get by coming out here in a community of believers and worshiping the Lord in nature and just having a great time,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know of many places you could go and get, what is it, like 7 days, 6 nights of lodging, meals included, activities, and a t-shirt for like $500, $600. I mean, that's a steal. I wish I could go. Well, man, okay. Those are the 5 questions, but I didn't have a bonus question I wanted to throw at you.
Let's do it. What you got?
If parents are still listening, or campers are watching, I want you to share why you do what you do, because I know you've been at Shepherd's Fold 10 years now, and you've kind of undersold your pedigree and your background, which is what you do. Ron was a Green Beret, and you have some great business experience. Why did you come to Shepherd's Fold? Why did you stay? Like, what motivates you to be here, man?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I was in the Army. I was a Green Beret for many years. Been all over the world, seen a lot of great stuff, a lot of not so great stuff. But it all comes back to really just long-term investment and spiritual investment into our next generation. And so, you can go and you can make a lot of money in a lot of places, but for the kingdom, what is that going to get us? And so I feel like the Lord has specifically given me this background of being a Green Beret, being a sniper, being in Somalia, Iraq, Afghanistan, all these different places, just because it shows, I feel like I can show people that, all of that stuff, you can still be a man of God. You can still be somebody who is tenderhearted and be someone that spends time with kids, and hopefully giving them a little push they need to go out into the world and say, man, we can be lights. We can be world changers no matter who we are, because God is within us. It's not within our own power, but his power. And man, if this guy can do it after all the stuff he's been through and all this negative stuff that he's seen, man, I can do that too. So I feel like it's just one of those neat little things that God has put into my heart and put me in this place to be able to do.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. Well, I want to say thank you, one, for the time for this interview, that we can get this and share this with people. And then 2, just for your service, your commitment, and your sacrifice. And I think it's awesome. I think we want to get Shepherd's Fold in front of as many people that can see it, because it's a place in the country where people can come and do business with God. So thanks, man. Really, really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem.